I'm just starting the session early so I can use the opportunity to share this live feed. Me. Okay, so I'm gonna take a moment to just share the live feed on the various social media network pages so that people can know that this session is live right now. Okay, great. So, hi everyone. Welcome to this live broadcast where I will be sharing with you an overview of the lab series, which I call Building Great Experiences with 4D Systems. So, whether you're watching this live right now or you're watching this as a rebroadcast, if we have not met before, my name is Sherman. I'm the creator of Online Lab Series. So, what is Online Lab Series about? Well, it's basically a learning platform for and community that aims to generate high quality live streaming lab content for everyone around the world. And it's 100% free of charge. The goal is not so much to touch on the theoretical aspects of the products we're showcasing, but rather to explore the various real world use cases of those products. Right, so this takes a very interesting approach to educating people about the brands and the products that we're showcasing, and it's not just uh, reading what's on paper or looking through the data sheet, but instead, it takes a more problem-solving approach to understanding more about these products. you know so earlier I already shared the links on social media as well, so please do that as well. Share it on your social media feeds and get people to join us for this live session. All right, you know but before we actually dive into uh, the live session, I just want to do a quick check. I think it's important to know if the audio and the video is actually good on your end. So it would be great if you can actually leave a heart shape or even a like, icon in the live chat section, just to let me know that everything appears okay on your end. That would be so much appreciated. And also, I think it's kind of interesting that I'd like to know this as well, because I know that there are actually people tuning in right now. So it'll be great to share with me, where you guys are from, um, which country and city you are actually from, watching from right now. Okay, so let me now the reason why I've actually asked you guys to uh, do that and let me know where you guys are from is because I am currently using a simple budget setup. So it's probably the reason why the video quality might not be the best, but I am definitely working towards the goal in the near future, which is, to make the high quality videos better. All right, wherever you are in the world, when you're watching this, you'll be able to see something great. And also, with the continued donations and support from the people in the community, people like yourself, the learning community as a platform, we will be able to raise funds to continue expanding and improving ourselves, as well as to fulfill our pledge of giving away 500,000 iPad Pros, along with 250,000 educational kits by 2020. So yeah, that's our goal, and that's a pledge that we want to fulfill by giving away iPad Pros for children, for adults, people that have no access to proper education and skills development. Also note that later on, because as you know, I only have one tripod, this is a basic setup. When I'm switching over to the presentation later on, I will actually have to move my tripod as well. So later on, just pardon me for a few moments when I actually set up the tripod. Okay, so let's get right into it. Just a little bit of background into how I came about with this theme of lab series, which I call Smart Displays plus UX plus CX. All right, so the idea of the lab series first came based on the inspiration that, as customer experience and user experience becomes more evolved with the technology, we also need to start looking at how it can impact the implementation and the world of IoT itself. So, I came from a background where I actually am a UX and CX leader in Asia. So, using that experience and everything that I've observed, I realized that, as we are moving from maybe 10 years ago, we talk about websites. 5 years ago, we start thinking about mobile apps. And now, as we start progressing, more and more applications, especially in the IoT space, they actually require a smart display at some point in project or implementation. And knowing how to implement and properly design the experience for those smart displays is really important, because it's all about how you want to uh, project and display the data in a way that will make sense to whoever is interacting with it. All right. So it could be things like displaying charts. It could be displaying CO2 readings. It can be displaying gas detection, flight data displays, speedometer readings, and a lot more. And all these displays play a really important role in not just our work, but also in our day-to-day lives. Okay, so since the article was released on the website about the smart displays, UX and CX themed of lab series, we have actually received numerous responses from makers from around the world, and 4D that which was actually one of them that came to us, and that is where we are here today. And also, let's get electronics. I know you guys are tuning in, so you guys also came to us, and we really appreciate the support. So thank you very much for that. It's all this support that you guys give us that allows us to have the content that we can actually produce and share and educate with other people around the world. And potentially, recently with the partnership with Design Spark by RS Components, they have a community of more than 657,000 members worldwide. So, I consider it that we are really lucky that, our learning platform gets to partner with them. And in the process, we can have a bridge that will allow the members to come back and forth between OLS as well as Design Spark. So potentially, yes, one year down the road or 2 years down the road, there's a very good chance that we will actually hit close to 1 million or 1.5 million members on our community. So that is something that is really exciting. Right, so a little bit of introduction into the 4D Systems Lab series and how I actually came into the product or the brand. All right. So I was working on an IoT related project almost 8 months ago. I basically fell in love with the product because of how easy it was to customize it, as well as how in depth I can go into customizing it. So the depth of customization means that I can really have a control of the hardware, especially in an environment where I may need to do optimization. I may need to tweak the hardware for performance reasons. All right. And also, obviously in the world of IoT, a lot of times people, if you watch videos online, the main thing that they always talk about is we talk about low power, right? Low power usage. How do you design your device in such a way, or to engineer your device in such a way that it really drains very little power, right? That is one of the main concerns in a lot of IoT related projects. Right, so through my IoT project experience, it sort of gave me the opportunity to dig into 4D Systems products. I bought the Gen 4 display module from 4D Systems, and through my experience of working with the product, I actually got to explore not just what they're really good at, but also what are some of the limitations that their product have. I mean, let's be honest, there's no perfect brand, there is no perfect product in this world. Every product and every brand will have a certain strength, they will have a certain weakness, and it's through a good understanding of those strengths and weaknesses that will enable a developer or a creator to know how to actually uh, build the product for a specific uh, problem. All right. So whatever problem that you're facing, whatever product that you're looking at to solve that problem, it's important to understand how to maximize the product. Most of the time, I realize that a lot of brand new makers, brand new hobbyist budding makers, what they do not realize is that they were underutilizing the products that they have. They could have paid for a really complex or a really advanced level product, but then again they're only using 20% of it. So it really begs the question of how much do they really understand about the products when they are getting it. Um, Obviously for the company it's a good thing, right? If your customers were to buy all the high-end products without knowledge of what they really do, you stand to gain from it. But as a end user, when we buy a product, when we look at a product, when we survey a product, it's important to know what do we really need, so that it will help us to solve the specific problem. Sometimes getting a really advanced product to solve a really simple problem is just simply overkill. So I think that is something that you need to think about if you are thinking about becoming a maker, and if you are thinking about doing smart display solutions in your IoT projects, then you need to start thinking about what sort of displays do you really need. If you only need a 2.8-inch display, then why do you go for a 7-inch display? Form factor and all these considerations have to be taken in as well. All right. Okay. So now that we have talked about how I started with 4D systems and their products, what I'm going to do now is, like I said earlier, I'm going to just shift my camera over so that it's going to be facing the monitor screen, and I'm going to start projecting the presentation. So just give me a moment as I set this up. But do leave your comments and share with me, if you have worked on any IoT related projects that uses smart displays. Have you ever encountered a situation whereby you wanted to solve a particular problem, but you didn't really know how to, because even though there was documentation online, it didn't really uh, go in depth into the application portion of it. I mean, we see a lot of documentation online, but most of the time the documentation just covers what's on paper, but it doesn't really cover how to solve a problem. It shows you what you can do, but not the how. So share with me, what sort of experience you have. Leave it in the comments. Even if you're going to be watching this session later on after it's over, just leave your comments in just leave your comments below, all right, and then I will also respond back in kind as well, all right. So I'm just going to set up a presentation now. And I'm going to shift the camera. Okay, so basically I can see the presentation from my own phone screen. So just want to check that you guys are able to see the presentation as well, and whether or not it's clear for you guys. So just leave me a comment. Let me know if the presentation is good. Is all right. Okay, so this is the presentation that we're going to touch on, and I'm going to provide overview into what the lab series is going to cover, as well as some of the hardware that you might need if you want to follow along with the lab series later on. Okay, so the agenda for today would actually include looking at some of the goals and objectives of the lab series, exploring the project ideas that we're going to use to really showcase the product applications, all right, for each of the products within 4D Systems product portfolio. Then we're also going to look at some of the topics we're going to cover. We're going to look at the lab curriculum outline, all right, and then we will explore what you will need, in some of the what you will need to actually get started as well as to follow along. Okay, so a couple of years ago, during a UX workshop, I shared this quote, which I still use nowadays when I'm speaking to people about the importance of CX and UX. It says, as technology advances and evolves, so does our experience and interaction with it. Right? It is true, especially if you observe how we have progressed through the years in terms of technology advancements, from just websites to mobile phones and now IoT smart displays. As technology grows and transforms, it also transforms and shape the kind of experience that we will have with the devices that we use and interact with on a day-to-day basis. That is actually what the quote means. Okay, so here are some of the goals and objectives of the lab series. One of the most important focus of the lab series is really to help impart the customer experience driven mentality and principles. As a product developer or designer, it is always very important to know what your consumers are thinking about and what they are looking for. Right, so coming from a background of being a CX leader in Asia, I realized that the CX design and management process is more of a thought process rather than the actual activity itself. It's more about the mindset of the product creator. It's more of the mindset of the leaders who's managing the creation of the product that they need to think about what the consumer's experience will be like and what the consumer's experience potentially can be like. You know, you should be designing a user interface for you could be designing a user interface for industrial IoT applications, or it could be for the use within an office building. Regardless of the applications, it is important to achieve that mentality and understanding that will enable you to design or to lead a team that designs the final product. During this lab series, we will also explore some of the UX design best practices, especially in the IoT space. I came from the web development and mobile app development era. Okay, that makes me sound quite old. But there were many meaningful and useful lessons and observations that I've made. Taking that with me, I'm going to apply them to the various IoT applications. It could be in medical use, it could be in bioinformatics research, healthcare, it could be automotive, consumer electronics, and a lot more. And together with me, you will start to understand those design patterns and practices and apply them to your workspace, your workplaces, and in your project ideas as well. Then we come to the most important objective of this particular lab series, to understand how to design and develop smarter displays using the products by 4D Systems. With that, it will also be crucial for you as a product designer and developer to know how to master the Workshop 4 IDE, which is a software created by 4D Systems, and which is a really good software, by the way. I've been using it for months now. It's really easy to use. So during the lab series itself, I will actually dig into it, and I'm going to explain every particular feature they have and the kind of workflow that they have and how you can really master, Workshop 4 and really use it to become a very effective smart display developer or designer. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is about exploring project ideas. Now, the whole reason behind this project ideas is really for us to look at real world use cases, right? It's about exploring what is happening in the real world, bringing together real problems that need a solution, and then looking at all the available products and hardware that each brand has to provide. Once we have done that, it will allow us to clearly determine the best and most effective way of solving those problems. Throughout the whole lab series, we will be showcasing up to 24 different projects or use cases. So this whole lab series, I'm just talking about the 4D Systems lab series. So every other lab series will definitely have their own projects as well. So there will be projects that could be reused, which is fantastic. I love the idea of reusing projects across different lab series. Right? Some of them will be quite simple. Some of them will be more complex and require a few lab sessions to cover. But we will go into them during the actual lab series itself. Just take note that it's probably good to point out that I'm always open to new project ideas from people like yourself. We all share different experiences and observations. Wherever you are right now, there will be some unique problems that I might not have encountered before. So it will be extremely helpful if you can contribute your ideas to the lab series. There's no promise that we will showcase every project idea that is submitted, but we will definitely give each idea the due consideration it deserves. So here we're going to talk about some of the topics that we will be covering during the lab series itself. All right. Now, 4D Systems doesn't just make displays. They do have other modules and products as well that we will dive into during the lab series. All right. The world is so big, so it is given that there are so many possible use cases. Like during my past project, I didn't exactly use Arduino with the Gen 4 display module. I was using STM32 development board. So part of the lab series would be to explore all the possible integrations in terms of hardware. and then we welcome ideas from you as well. If there's a particular development board, a particular brand, particular make that you're interested in, you are working on a project and you wanted to uh, check out how it can be integrated, you can share the idea with us. We will get the board, that is necessary, and we will actually do it as part of the showcase. We are currently in the midst of speaking to Mouser Electronics. There's no concrete word from them yet, but the idea is to talk to them about sponsoring some of the baseline hardware that we can use for our lab series. Since the big focus of the lab series is really based on UX and CX, we will incorporate those practices into the workshop for IDE workflow. And more about that during the lab series itself. And last but not least, finally, we will cover the UX and CX design principles and best practices as well. Right, so this is just a very basic lab curriculum outline. As I shared with the 4D management team, 4D systems management team, what I plan to do is just to create an outline over the next 1 year and then move backwards into the first 3 months, because how a curricular planning usually works is that we try not to plan 6 months ahead, because 3 months down the road, I might find that, hey, certain topics will be better covered earlier and certain topics will be covered later. So this will actually help to create a better ease of flow in terms of the learning experience, and also at the same time it will create a more topical experience when it comes to learning the content as well. And it will be beneficial in the future, when we upload all this content onto our website and we need to sort them out so that it's easy for people like you to go back and search for the content again. Alright, so the lab series will kick off on May 28th. Alright, and then after that, between June to August, we will start on the topic, or at least a part of the lab series that we call Getting Up and Running with 4D Systems. And then between September to November, we will be exploring some of the advanced UX and CX design principles and best practices. And then in December to February, that is just a speculation right now, we would love to cover how you can gain full control of your 4D products. Then finally, in the last 3 months of the lab series, we will start talking about some of the really advanced level projects and development using the 4DGL programming language. So going back to the part one of the lab curriculum, these are the things that we're going to talk about. I guess you can say that there's no way to avoid the basics. For every single lab series that we have at OLS, Online Lab Series, we will always cover some of the basics first, because having a deeper understanding of what makes the product tick will enable you to gain a greater control over it later when you need it. Same time, we are not focusing so much on the theoretical concepts either. We want you to be able to get started and up and running as quickly as possibly as you can. So we will find a balance there. During the upcoming product launch and showcase, about 40 systems they're planning a product launch soon, we will also be working with some clickboards. Now, if you do not know what that is right now, don't worry about it. I will put some images of it on the online article after the live session is over. Finally, we will also cover topics on how to establish data communication between your development board as well as the 4D display module. Okay, so we're going to talk about what you will need if you want to follow along with the lab series. Alright, so this is just a guideline. You don't have to follow it exactly, but this is what I would suggest for getting started. Alright, for many people in many regions of the world, you probably have a project right now that requires a different hardware, so don't worry too much. I think the most simple point I can make is that the lab series will help you to understand the most basic concepts so that you can later on apply it immediately to your own use cases. Right, so just to get started, very basic stuff that you need include Arduino Uno, Leonardo, Arduino Mega, MKR, Zero Pro, Raspberry Pi Board. Any of these will do. You can even use the STM32 portfolio as well. But point is, we are going to cover all of those hardware during the whole lab series. All right, so there'll be a good chance that you will actually uh, see how the hardware by 4D systems will be able to work with all the different development boards that are available on the market. Right, then we also talk about the Gen 4 display module. Now, in this case, I would suggest getting the smallest possible size. I think it's 2.8 inch, or just go for a 3.5 inch display. Honestly, if you ask me, the size doesn't really matter here, since we are going. Size doesn't matter since we will also be covering design and development on all display sizes. So you can get a bit bigger board if you have the budget, or you can get the smaller ones. Um, you will still be able to follow along the lab series. Alright. So the last point on this slide I will touch on is actually the Workshop 4 Pro license, which is useful to have, when we are covering some of the more advanced features. Speaking as a budding maker once, upon a time, honestly, for US $79 um, for a software, actually it's not expensive for a whole year. Actually, if you look at the projects that you're going to create over the course of a year, and you divide out the cost, honestly 79 US is I wouldn't say that it's expensive though. Yeah, so it's quite affordable. All right, so to end the presentation, I just want to share that, if you have any suggestions for project ideas, if you feel that you have an inspiration about something that you would like to explore that would use a smart display in the project, let us know. All right, and then share that comment, under our published articles and recorded sessions. You can leave a comment on our YouTube videos as well, and then just let us know what sort of ideas you have, what sort of suggestions you have for the product applications. Maybe you have already bought certain hardware from 4D systems, and right now you're just trying to figure out how to get started. Or maybe you have been using the hardware for a while, but now you're thinking to the next step, what can I do more with it? How can I make the best of what I already have? Right? So leave all your ideas and suggestions with us. We will go through it, all of them, definitely. But then again, I don't make a promise that we will actually uh, follow along with all of the suggestions, because by then, we would have thousands of ideas or hundreds of ideas, and it's just a lot. But then again, we will really pick out the ideas that truly stand out. All right. So with that, I will end the session here. I really appreciate those of you that actually took the time to watch us live for this session. This is our very first live session for the online lab series. So um, we understand that there are going to be more people that would actually be tuning in to the rebroadcast. So don't worry if you miss a live session. Um, you know, any questions that you have, you can still leave it in the comments, and I will actually answer them as well. And yes, I did notice I made a spelling mistake in the word suggestion, so I apologize for that. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Next week, Monday, same time, we will officially kick off the online lab series for these systems. So same time next week, I'll see you guys again. All right, thank you so much. Bye.